Here's a video on a very important philosophy if you want to grow your teams, and it's this. When you bring new people onto the team, you have to be so careful, because what you're doing is you're pretty much selling what their life should look like and their work should look like. So let me explain this, right? Like, you're not working in an auto repair shop. I've said this before, right? We're actually running a recruiting company, because the only reason that we don't have more stores is literally because we don't have qualified people to run them, right? I mean, like, you realize, to grow a business, you need systems capital, money capital, and people capital. And system capital, once you have the training, you can understand that and you can write the manuals easy. Money capital, in my humble opinion, is the easiest thing to get, because there's literally money everywhere. Banks can give it to you. You can get investors. You should have cash flow, money saved up, whatever. Easy. Hardest thing ever in our company, in our industry, is finding the qualified people that can move the needle in these shops. So what do? You bring these people on that have the intelligence, they have the grit, they have the firepower, the motivation, and you bring them on. And the first thing you got to do is not mistreat them, right? You don't bring them on and talk crap to them right out of the gate. This isn't the Navy SEALs. You have to build people up before you take away from them. So you can't be the guy that's slamming the hammer down on a guy you have no equity with. And if someone else does that, you have to make that completely unacceptable in your company, right? So we had an instance where a very young, motivated junior tech got another guy to train in the first week, and the new guy, who's a very intelligent, good guy, and we'll see how he works out, but I really think I'm going to bet on him. He told the manager in training at that store, who also rose up this last year, that he doesn't know if he's going to want to work here. And the problem with that scenario is that it's a complete misrepresentation of our company. It's a complete misrepresentation of how we've done things, because that's not how we've grown our teams. Our teams have grown because we've brought young guys along and we have invested in them, cared for them. Yes, at times we've been mean to them, but before we did all that, we first gave and then we took, right? You always put deposits before you make withdrawals. Otherwise, you have a zero bank account, you go in overdraft, and I hate those fees. So the point I'm trying to make with this, guys, is that you have to build first of all, build an onboarding plan for the team. And in our case, it's obviously a crappy onboarding plan, because this wouldn't have happened. So we need to work very hard on what that looks like on week one, on month one, how to have check-ins. And if it wasn't for my talented and good manager in training, we probably would have lost this guy. And the truth is, most guys wouldn't tell you the truth. They'll just leave and say, you know what, I mean, it's not for me. Because it's not their job to tell you what's wrong with your company. It's your job to find out, and your leadership team's job to find out. And luckily for me and our teams, that our leadership, in that case, this gentleman, the young man that is becoming a manager, he was able to catch the drift of that very quickly, squash it, pull that guy aside, tell him, hey man, I'm so sorry, that's not how we do things. Pull also the other junior tech who was doing the mistreatment and tell him, hey man, you got to stop. And then switch this new training training technician, and put him under a different technician and have that guy start training him instead. And the guy that we are, hoping was training him, we got to give him some training first before he gets training. That's the key, right? We have to be able to take the new guy and say, you know what? Even though this other guy has been with us and he produces, we got to put this guy first, because the only way we can grow our company is the new guy, right? So you understand, just like we say the most important car in the shop is the next one. Similarly, and this is going to blow your mind, the most important hire in the team is the next one, right? The most important guy you have is the next one, the new one. Why? Because the other guys you already have equity with, right? And as long as you've maintained and you've taken care of them, they should ideally stay. And, you should follow up and do your stuff. But the new guy is the one that's fragile. The new customer is the one that's fragile. The ones you don't have equity with, that's the ones you got to focus on, assuming you want to grow your company and your teams, right? And a lot of times we just care about the old stuff, the customers, which you should. Don't get me wrong. You should definitely care. But you got to really pay attention to the new stuff if you want to grow your company. You have to pay attention to the new people. You have to pay attention to the new cars. You have to new customers. Right, the new marketing techniques. If you're going to try something, that's your job, and you have to reorient your team in order to also pay attention to those things. And luckily for me, we were able to do that, and we'll make sure that doesn't happen again. But please make a hospitable work environment for new people, and there's no way you're not going to grow organically, because you'll just keep getting people and you'll keep retaining them, and you'll keep getting more and you'll retaining them, and you'll have no choice but to grow, because the only way to keep people is you're going to have to give them more opportunity, right? So you're not going to go out there on your own, try to be Rambo and take on the market. You literally have an army of guys that are ready to go, and they're trained, and they're just like, hey man, just give us more to do so that we can keep going. And that's literally why I am motivated, is because the only way I can grow, the only way I'm growing is because of these guys pushing me, right? And I'm so proud of that. I'm so proud of these guys and grateful for them as well. So please make a hospitable work environment for new people, and there's no way you're not going to grow.